The Montblanc 220 is a slender fountain pen primarily made of brushed makrolon. It was produced in the mid-1960s and only for a limited time. The finials are both flat with the Montblanc logo. The bottom finial has that logo in a small white insert, which is easy to lose, so be careful with that one. The clip is slender, functional, but not spring-loaded. And towards the bottom of the cap, we have a gold ring. That's a nice feature to have as it will help prevent cracking. The cap pulls off to reveal a 14-karat gold nib. The nib doesn't have any special markings, just 585, denoting a 58.5% gold content. Right below the nib, we have a section of polished makrolon, followed by brushed makrolon that matches the rest of the pen body. Also on the back, we have an inlet for the piston filler and an integrated black plastic feed. Towards the bottom of the section, we have an ink window with a spring, which is used to engage with the clip. The ink window is plastic and gray in color, a little bit challenging to see, but functional. We have a little step up to the pen body, which tapers down to a point, and as we reach the back of it, we have a nicely concealed piston knob. Giving that piston knob a little twist, it suddenly becomes visible. In the hand, the pen is very comfortable, again on the slender side, and it does post deeply and securely to transfer the weight just a little bit far towards the back of your hand. In terms of size comparisons, here we have the Montblanc 220, a Pilot G2 rollerball pen, and your typical Sharpie. If I were to tell a pen enthusiast that I had a 1960s German-made fountain pen, primarily made of brushed makrolon with 14-karat gold nib, and it's a piston filler, the vast majority would say, "Oh, you have a Lamy 2000. So I figure, why don't we give these two pens a comparison? Capped, both pens are about the same length. The Lamy is a little bit thicker. The Lamy has brushed stainless steel accents, whereas the Montblanc has yellow gold-plated accents. The Lamy has a spring-loaded clip that's extremely functional, whereas the Montblanc is just a bent metal clip, but it is also very springy and functional. Both pens pull to uncap. The Lamy has a white 14-karat gold nib that is semi-hooded. The Montblanc is a yellow nib that is mostly exposed. The section of the Lamy is thicker than the Montblanc and made out of stainless steel, which is cool to the touch. The Montblanc is longer and more slender, and it's made out of makrolon, which is warm to the touch. The Lamy has two ears that are used to engage with the clip. The Montblanc, on the other hand, has a separate ink window with a spring integrated into it. The Lamy's ink window is integrated into the pen body itself. Both pens have equally well concealed piston knobs. Both pens are excellent posters, though I would argue the Montblanc actually posts a little bit deeper. Okay, disassembling the Montblanc 220. Cap pulls right out. There shouldn't be any need to disassemble this for regular maintenance. Section unscrews. If you want, you can also pull the nib out. Be very careful when you do this, as it is a vintage gold nib. The rest of the section's glued together, so I wouldn't touch that. We have a ink window and a spring. One thing to note with this spring is it is a weak point in the design. As you move the spring in and out, it will start to scratch the ink window, and I've had one of these break on me. The good thing is there are quite a few Montblancs that use this style, so you can find these on aftermarket pretty easily. Next, we have a liner that unscrews. This is another pretty large difference from the Lamy 2000. Lamy 2000 has the ink fill up in the barrel itself, and this one has a separate piece. And then to disassemble the piston, we'll unscrew the piston knob. Piston starts coming off the barrel. You can pull that right out. And then there's also a piston guide. Now the barrel is empty, and we have the piston knob with threads. The threads are very easy to break off, so I wouldn't recommend touching this piece. But we have the pen fully disassembled. To reassemble, we're going to start with our barrel. Our piston guide goes right in, followed by the piston, and then the piston knob. Now this one can take a couple of tries to get it lined up just right. I am going to give it about 4 turns, get the piston rod in there, and then give it a twist. And what we're looking for is for the piston knob to line up flush with the rest of the barrel. Didn't quite make it. There's still a little bit of a gap there. So I'll pull it back out. Give this a little bit more of a twist. This is another area where the Lamy 2000, I would say, is improvement on this Montblanc. The Lamy has spacers that are set up in just the right way that you screw it on and it will be perfect each time. Next, we'll put the sleeve on, or the liner I should say. That screws right into place. Then our ink window. Make sure you have the spring facing the section, and that slides in. And our section screws into place. And lastly, our nib. Just get the fins lined up on the side and slide it in. Throw the cap on. We're ready to ink up. Okay, inking up the Montblanc 220. I'm using Waterman Serenity Blue. I've mentioned this before, Waterman is a well lubricated ink, which is really good to use for these vintage pens. Cap pulls off. We're gonna retract the piston all the way down. Submerge the pen. Let's see if I can get this all on camera. There we go. Submerge the pen into ink and twist the piston back up. As with all piston fillers, I like to do this twice in order to remove air pockets and help get a good full fill. Okay, I'll go ahead and wipe off the excess ink. Put the cap back on. We're ready to write. Okay, writing with the Montblanc 220. Cap pulls right off. We have a 14 karat nib. It does not have any markings on this, but I would consider it a fine. Our ink again. It's Waterman. Serenity Blue. This nib is incredibly smooth. It has almost no feedback, and it's pretty much the epitome of what I would call writing with glass. In terms of line variation, there really isn't any. And for reverse writing, it's scratchy, it's dry. I would not consider this a very good reverse writer by any means. So what do I think of the Montblanc 220? I think it's a very handsome pen. It's very similar to the Lamy 2000, but a bit more ornate. It definitely shows off that it is a Montblanc with the prominent logos. It's a very functional pen. My biggest gripes with this are the additional pieces compared to the Lamy 2000. I think those are more pieces that can break, and I have personally experienced the ink window cracking because of how it's been assembled with that spring. But besides that, I think it is a very interesting pen to have in your collection, especially if you are a fan of the Lamy 2000 or just a fan of pens made in this era in the 1960s. So that just leaves me to say, thank you for watching.